Welcome to another S&P 500 analysis. Today is June 30th, 2021. Once again, right, this sounds like a broken record. The S&P 500 closed at a new closing high and made a new all-time high today. So is it heading for a fall? Stay tuned. Now, you have seen this chart numerous times before, and I have talked about these extension level before, and I have also talked about how I use the Fibonacci retracement and the extension to project some potential target when it's in new high territory. So we're going to come back to this chart and go through some of the price action and see what the market is telling us after we look at the sentiment and the internals. Let's start with this intraday chart here. I got the S&P 500. This is a 3-minute chart here. And this is the beginning of today's session. As you can see, it spooked the market participant a little bit on the open. Then immediately got a little bit of a bounce back after a negative open. Then we put in a little bit of a hammer here shortly, well, a little bit more than 20 minutes, right, or almost half an hour. Then start to push up and then put in a intermediate high of the day up here at 42.9872. Then as you can see, it had established some sort of support right around this 42.9275. You can see multiple tests throughout the day at that level or close to it. Then as you see, never fail, right? Today is OpEx Wednesday. As soon as we get into the last half an hour to the 15-minute before the close, the machines start playing game and doing that OpEx trickery thing. So it is getting a little volatile here, and it is expected. You see it push up and put in a new high and a new high of the day. So the closing high right now is 4302.43. You see, during the as soon as going into the bell, it pulled back after it make that high, and still it closed with a new closing high at 4297.32. Now we notice that the new high, new low, there's only 185 more new 52-week high than 52-week low, so that is not very impressive for a record high close. And here is the up-down volume ratio. Also, this is only 1.46, so it's less than 1.5 times more up volume than down volume. So once again, that is not very impressive, although it did come up a little bit higher early in the morning at 1.78, but that's still not impressive enough for us to say, yeah, this market has strength. So, and also looking at the sentiment, the FIX, the fear index, you can see that the market participant got a little bit, more comfortable throughout the day. You see this low here, right? The VIX is actually put in a low of the day or close to it at like somewhere around 15.5 or so. Okay, so it closed the day at 15.71. So definitely the market participant are still complacent and has have very little fear right now. And also looking at the put call ratio is sitting at 0.49, so around that 0.5 level, right? And notice here, throughout this low here, when I put in this hammer, the put call ratio is actually sitting at 0.4. So, okay, so definitely the market participants are still getting a little bit more bullish, putting risk on. You could also see the daily advanced decline is not that impressive as well. It's only 439 more advancing issues than declining issues. Right, so not impressive at all for this for today's all-time high and all-time closing high on the S&P 500. So let's go and take a look at the daily chart of the S&P 500. Close up 5.7 points or 0.13%. See, this is just kind of grinding up, and the range is getting smaller and smaller, right? Yesterday got a little bit of a spinning top doji, and today it's nothing more than a small candle with a range of, what's that, 14.5 point or so, right? Like we said earlier, close at 15.85, the VIX, and the put call ratio 0.49. And here we saw a little bit of a divergence on Monday, right? And we got a negative up-down volume. Today, like I said, 1.5 times and 435 events leading the decline. New high, new low, 187, more new high. Now here's the thing, this right here. Here's the cumulative advanced decline line. This is the New York Stock Exchange. See, the S&P 500 closed at a new closing high. The cumulative AD line is actually lower than this pivot low. So you can see a series of lower high, while the S&P 500 is closing with a series of higher high. So the divergence, the negative divergence is getting worse. And look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ 100 got a little bit of a spinning top candle here, small range also. Let's see what that range is, 51.5 point or so. Okay, and it closed down 17.9 points, a little bit less than 18 points, and down 0.12%. Now the up-down volume ratio is actually positive 1.37, so there's more up volume than down volume for a small negative down day from the NASDAQ 100. And the advanced decline, the decliner led the advancer by a margin of 414. And the new 52-week high led the new 52-week low by 93. And once again, we are continue to see negative divergence persist on the NASDAQ, although today it is a little bit of synchronizing move on the downward side, on the downside, but still we have this divergence here with these higher close and these lower high on the accumulated AD. So today's all-time high make a impressive evening news headline, but if we look at the internals, definitely not much strength there to push this all-time high. Now let's take a little bit more detailed look at the S&P 500. Right here we are looking at the daily chart, and like we said, here is the target level that we're looking at, 4310.40. Not necessarily saying it's going to go there or going to stop there, but there are some level essentially to give us a little bit idea of what to look for as it continue to grind up. And you can see today getting a little bit closer. Who knows? We might see a little bit of a pullback with the weakness in the advanced decline and also the up-down volume ratio. And also today is the last day of the quarter. So after all these window dressing and last end of the quarter adjustment, portfolio adjustment, then tomorrow and also leading into a 4th of July holiday, we could see a little bit of a pullback. And if that occurred, then basically looking at this trend line and possibly once again this 4255.15 area, okay, that could be one of the potential support level to keep an eye on for the near term. And if that doesn't hold, then we're essentially coming back down and watch this 4233. So if it continue to push, then we'll be watching this 4310. So today it got above the 4300 level, so that's a good evening headline there. Actually got up to 4302.43. That's the high, all-time high, right? But it closed slightly under the 4300 level. It closed at 4297.50. And here looking at the NASDAQ, look what happened here. Remember the 127 extension? 14,584.09, and the high today is 14,582.30. Not too bad, huh? So not saying that these Fibonacci extension and retracement work all the time, but it does give us some potential target to shoot at when there is nothing there, especially when it's in the new high territory, there's no prior, level above 2% itself as a potential resistance. So right now with this little spinning top, if it could punch through, it could punch through and get above this 14,600. But I'm looking for a potential pullback because of the weakness of the internal and also the end of the quarter and that kind of stuff, beginning of a new quarter. So there's a lot of time for, all these maneuvering. So right now, though, maybe there could be some little bit of a profit taking after the end of the quarter. The fund manager could put in the number for the bonus and fee and that kind of stuff. So if we are looking at a potential pullback, once again, we're basically looking at the possibility coming back to this pivot high here, somewhere around 14,500 some odd point drop. And it's not that much, right? So, out of 14,000, 14,500. But if it continue to push up, then we basically are looking at this 141 and possibly up at 14,850. Now for the Russell 2000, it did close up slightly. It closed up 1.71 point or 0.07, so it's pretty much unchanged, right? But the key thing is it was able to hold above this 2297 level. Okay, so we're going to see would it be able to continue to hold and maybe possibly inch its way back up to this 2360. Then if it does, then it could signal that we might see a further higher level for the S&P 500 and possibly even for the NASDAQ 100. Now, if it decides to pull back once again, we are still looking at this 2195 and also this pivot low somewhere around this 2225 area here, 2230 area. And for the Dow Jones Transportation, it is still holding this channel, still remain to be inside of this channel and holding above this trend line here. So we'll see, would it be able to get back up above the 15,000? But if it breaks this channel again, essentially looking at this pivot low somewhere around 14,600 as the first potential support level, then eventually looking at this 14,242 if this pivot low doesn't hold. Now on the upside, again, basically saying that it needs to get back up above the 15,000. If we could get up to 15,000, then we'd be looking at this 15,300 area to see would it get back above this higher support level, turning into a potential resistance here. And now looking at the Dow Jones Industrial. The Dow Jones Industrial is the strong performer today. It is up 210 points or 0.61%. Remember, a lot of people talking about Dow theory, saying the transportation is going down, the Dow Jones Industrial is going down, yada, yada, yada. Well, like I said, I have a different perspective on how to interpret the Dow theory, and I'm still looking at the possibility for the Dow Jones Industrial to come up and close with a new closing high. So I still see, would it be able to come up here, right, to this closing high, which is 34,777.76. But if it decides to pull back, then again, we're basically looking at this pivot low down here and possibly down here at 33,000. But right now, I'm looking at the possibility of continue to grind higher. Although, yeah, we might see a little bit of a short-term pullback down to this 34,200 area. I'm looking for it to continue to push higher to this high here, and that's based on the Dow theory. Now for the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index, it is also up a little bit under 8 point or 0.05%. Not much, but all in all, it's up. So for the composite, if it continue to grind higher, looking for the the closing high at 16,708.74. But if come down, watch this trend line and possibly down here at these pivot low here near the 16,000 area, 16,100 area. Now just a quick look on the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield came down a bit, came down 0.37. So it's sitting at 1.44 here at the close. So right now it's below this 1.53 and 1.76 zone here. So right now I'm looking at the possibility of come down and maybe test this low here somewhere around this 1.4 level. And here's the US dollar. It came back into this zone, like once again, this 92 level. So we'll see would it be able to continue to move up and work its way back up toward the 94. My suspicion is that it's gonna get stalled out and come back down and get back down to this 91.24 and then do another back test and then see what happened there. Then we'll see would it continue to pull back or once again chop around inside of this between this 92 zone and this 91 support level here. And a quick look on the crude oil, and you see that it is still trying to get up to that 75 level. Still sitting at this 73.51 today. It closed up a little bit, so we'll see would it be able to come up and take out this high here. Then we'll be looking at the possibility of 75. This high is 74.75. And for the silver, still bouncing around here, could be consolidating and could be setting up a little flag to start making next move down to this 24 to break this flag here. So let's do a little bit of a projected move here and using this as a flagpole, and we basically project that 618. It'd be down here at that 2470 area here, down at this zone here. So keep an eye on that. If it break below this area here, somewhere around break below 25.5, then maybe we'll see silver come back down and test this 2470. And you can see gold unable to get back up above this, or even get come up and back test this 1804 area here at this level. And right now it seems like it broke this little bit of a triangle flag or pennant and come down. Could be coming down to this trend line. I'm looking at the possibility of coming back down to test this 1700 area, right? So and if we go and use the Fibonacci extension tool that we are going to use this little bit of a pole here. Don't want to get it up here, then really go way down. Right, so so at this 100 level major move, that will bring it down to somewhere around 1690. Right, so that's close to this 1700 level, and also getting close to these pivot low. Now, if we extend this pole here to be up here, then you can see that it could go below that's 1670 here of these pivot low and bring it down to 1650. So, and this 80%, somewhere around close to the 80% major move, will bring it down to this pivot low. So essentially what this tool is telling us is to, keep an eye on this 1700 and these low here. If it continue to move down, break this trend line. So that's basically what we're going to be watching for. And if we could reverse back up, then keep an eye on this 1804, because they have to come up to the 1804. Then maybe get a little bit of a back test bounce up to the 1846. And looking at the SPY, the ETF for the S&P 500, this is a 60-minute chart here. And you can see from this composite volume profile that I have set up for this particular swing here from this low to the present. Okay, and we can see that it got a little bit of a shooting star in the last hour or so, right, on this candle here. And there's this high volume area here that it could, come down and chop around a little bit, then break, because then we also got another high volume area here that also could come down and chop. So these low volume zones, so once it breaks, we could come down pretty quickly and get into this zone. Then if it break this zone, then we'd be looking at 425.46, which would be these pivot highs here. Okay, so and also here's a little bit of a low volume node here near this 425.50. So those are the levels that I will be keeping an eye on for the coming day. For the S&P 500, somewhere around this 427, okay, and then this 425.50. All right, so these are the chopping zone. It could be chop around somewhere around this 426, 426.75. And for those that are trading the QQQ, which is the ETF for the NASDAQ 100, so once again, I got a composite profile set up for from this low to the present, and we can take a closer look at the profile in action. So we're getting a little bit extended long here at this 354.60. You see this high volume node here, and it's not going anywhere. Got a little bit of a topping cutoff here. So we could see a little bit of a liquidation break. And if we do see that, we can see it come down to this 353 into this low volume zone area, because here's a low potential support at 353.75 area, right, or 73. So this got a little bit of a high volume node here. So if we see the price come down, we could see it, find a little bit of a support here, chop a little bit. Then if it breaks, then we essentially looking at this low volume zone here for either a rejection or come down to the next high volume area here for it to chop a little bit. So eventually, if it pulls back, here's basically what I'm looking for at the for the near term, somewhere around 351.50, this high here. Okay, so 351.44 was the high here, 350.46, right? 351.46. Okay. Oh yeah, if it break above that all-time high, right, then we go back and look at the NASDAQ for that extension, that 141 extension. Okay, finally, last but not least, let's take a look at the ES profile here. On the market profile, you see that there is a poor high here. Okay, and during that 15-minute session, the half an hour after the 15-minute break, the price came up and took out this poor high. So we could at least see that the S&P 500 and the ES will get above that high. And right now, we're essentially looking at the possibility of any kind of pullback into this point of control here, 42.85, and also these unfinished business, right, 42.70. And watch this, IP low here. Okay, for tomorrow, we could see a break on this IP low, right? And the essentially that's the low of the day, and that is 42.77. And you can see the volume profile is show a very balanced day here. You can see that it's a nice Gaussian distribution, although it finished off the away from the point of control. So we'll see what it be come back and test this point of control and see what it be able to find some rejection or acceptance and reject it back up. And if it doesn't, if it come to the value area, then we essentially are looking at this thing to come down to this 42.70. Although the S&P 500 continue to push new high, the AD and the up-down volume doesn't show much of a strength to support that. So we'll just see how high it could grind up before it rolled over, because I do see in the near term, we will see most likely see some sort of a pullback. Be sure to smash that thumbs up to help me promote and share this video. And if you are not a subscriber to this channel, click on the subscribe button and also the notification icon. Then you won't be missing any of my future video. Thank you for watching and stay safe.